without a resort to coercive measures till such time that a successor arrangement or a new deal is reached. The JCPOA was a sterling example of a pragmatic and cooperative approach which charted a negotiated roadmap to comprehensively address the concerns of all parties by clearly defining their relevant obligations and responsibilities. Regrettably, the agreement was disrupted, leaving many complications in its wake that impacted the full and faithful implementation of the JCPOA by various parties and leading to mutual recriminations. Mr. President, the agreement on practical modalities for the implementation of safeguards in Iran, signed by Iran's Foreign Minister and IAEA Director General in Cairo on 9th of September, aimed at restarting agency's verification activities and inspections, was a positive development. The DG IAEA termed it, and I quote, an important step in the right direction. There is a need to build on this breakthrough to restore mutual trust and promote confidence between all the relevant parties that was seriously eroded due to the recent developments. Invoking the snapback and reimposition of UN sanctions could further complicate the situation, harden positions, and take us away from the objective of an amicable resolution of the issue. The current situation demanded more engagement and not a hasty reimposition of sanctions. That is why Pakistan favored a technical extension of Resolution 2231 for a period of 6 months to create space for political engagement and negotiations through a realistic and constructive approach by all the parties. We regret being put in a situation that confronts us today to vote on a clearly divisive matter when other avenues were available to avoid it, when other pathways could have been utilized to address the concerns harmoniously and cordially, allowing the Council to proceed with consensus, as it did with the adoption of Resolution 2231 10 years ago. President, as an immediate neighbor and friend of Iran, we do not favor any action which risks destabilizing a region that is already mired in multiple crises. This region cannot afford further tensions. We believe that even at this stage, diplomacy should be given a chance. There is an urgent need to renew and continue diplomatic engagement to seriously and faithfully address any outstanding issues in a cooperative manner in accordance with the rights, obligations, and responsibilities of the parties concerned. We must prioritize this approach and never give up on a peaceful, negotiated settlement. And let me emphasize that diplomacy and intimidation do not go together. Diplomacy has delivered previously, and with the necessary sagacity and pragmatism, it can certainly deliver again. We hope that the path towards a resolution of the underlying issues would not narrow down. In our view, it still remains available, provided there is political will to take it. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Panama.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Damos la bienvenida al representante permanente de Irán, quien nos distingue hoy con su presencia. La República de Panamá, comprometida con el orden internacional basado en reglas, reconoce que la cooperación multilateral es esencial para abordar los desafíos globales y promover la paz y la seguridad. Nuestra posición se fundamenta en los principios claves de la política exterior panameña, que incluyen el fortalecimiento del régimen global de no proliferación, la preservación de la arquitectura multilateral y la promoción del diálogo diplomático como el medio más eficaz para mitigar tensiones y reducir riesgos estratégicos. En este sentido, hacemos un llamado respetuoso a la República Islámica de Irán a que se comprometa de manera plena y constructiva con el Organismo Internacional de Energía Atómica, retomando sus obligaciones y compromisos asumidos. Por ello, reiteramos que es fundamental garantizar el acceso, la transparencia y una supervisión efectiva para restablecer la confianza en que el carácter del programa sea exclusivamente pacífico. Instamos a todas las partes involucradas a priorizar la vía diplomática, ya que solo mediante el diálogo eficiente y la cooperación se puede alcanzar una seguridad duradera, sostenible y justa para todos. Muchas gracias.
I thank the representative of Panama for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Greece.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for scheduling today's vote and for fulfilling your duties as presidency on a critical matter for international peace and security. I welcome the participation of the representative of Iran. I wish to make 3 points. First, to reiterate our concern on the scope and nature of Iran's nuclear program. I think it is something the majority of us agree upon. It is also the reason we voted against. Iran has still not sufficiently responded to these concerns. IAEA inspections, as provided in the JCPOA, have not resumed, and information on the stockpile of the highly enriched uranium has not been provided. Let me add that recent steps taken by Iran are welcome and a positive statement of intentions, but need to be followed by tangible commitments. Now is the time for meaningful engagement and a return to negotiations. Second, let me stress, therefore, that this vote does not mark the end of the road. Instead, it should be a departure point to redouble our efforts towards diplomatically resolving the issue and upholding the global non-proliferation architecture. Thirdly, Mr. President, with the high-level week coming up and with all the interested parties in the same room, now is the moment to talk and negotiate meaningfully. We believe that dialogue and diplomacy remain the most effective tools in order to arrive at a mutually agreed solution that addresses the concerns of all sides on a critical matter for international peace and security. An agreement is good for all, including Iran. This is not the end of diplomacy, but let us seize the current moment. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Greece for the statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of the Republic of Korea. 10 years ago, intense negotiations between the P5, Germany, Iran, and the European Union culminated in the unanimous adoption of the Security Council Resolution 2231, which laid out a path to a peaceful and diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue. The resolution envisioned a future where Iran would continue its civil nuclear program for a peaceful purpose under strict adherence to IAEA safeguards, while the Security Council lifted sanctions and restrictive measures against Iran in a phased manner until 2025. As the Council President for the month of September, the Republic of Korea has made the best of its effort to ensure that the Council's work would be conducted in accordance with Resolution 2231. Accordingly, we held today's vote as it was designed when Resolution 2231 was adopted to secure its full compliance. Today's outcome is not the best future that Resolution 2231 envisioned. However, nothing is over yet, and there is still hope. The Republic of Korea would like to emphasize that now is precisely the time for intense diplomacy to achieve a peaceful and diplomatic solution of the Iranian nuclear issue. Resolution 2231, which has been our anchor for the past decades, is still there, and there is a chance to preserve the core tenet of the resolution and arrive at a better outcome in the future. Amid the eternal continuum of diplomatic efforts toward peace and security, the Republic of Korea, as the President of the Council, abstained from voting in hope for and encouragement of further diplomacy. I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, Mr. President, at the outset, allow me to express deep appreciation to Algeria, China, Pakistan, and Russia, who have rejected the politics of coercion and upheld the principles of diplomacy, justice, and law. We also commend Guyana for its courage in resisting coercion. Their vote today showed true commitment to diplomacy. Their position today sends a clear message. Conflict must be resolved through dialogue, not through the blunt instrument of pressure and intimidation. They have chosen to stand on the right side of history. Mr. President, Iran's position is clear and consistent. Resolution 2231 must be implemented exactly as agreed. Its timelines are not suggestions, they are binding commitment. Painstakingly negotiated and unanimously endorsed by this Council, any attempt by E3 to reimpose sanctions already terminated is not only baseless, but a direct assault on international law and credibility of the Security Council itself. Resolution 2231 and the JCPOA were hard-won achievements after more than a decade of negotiations. They settled all concerns about Iran's nuclear program, confirming its exclusively peaceful character. Iran implemented the deal in full and in good faith. No other nation has ever subjected itself to such rigorous, intrusive verification by IAEA. We kept our words. The EU, E3, and US did not. It was the United States that unilaterally tore up the agreement in 2018, reimposing sanctions in open defiance of this Council. It was the E3 that failed to meet their obligation, hiding behind empty promises while quietly following Washington's lead and instructions. And now, in a striking display of hypocrisy, they claim that Iran must be punished for measures we took only after years of enduring their violations. Mr. President, we categorically reject the E3 notification of 28 August 2025. It is procedurally invalid, politically motivated, and legally void. By bypassing the JCPOA dispute resolution mechanism, the E3 have shredded the very framework they claim to defend. Worse still, parties lying in material breach cannot suddenly present themselves as guardians of compliance. This is not legal or law. It is opportunism camouflaged as legality. Iran's remedial measures were neither reckless nor unilateral. They were calibrated, transparent, and fully consistent with our right under the JCPOA. To twist these lawful actions into a pretext for a snapback is to reward violators and punish compliant. Mr. President, this traversely unfold against the backdrop of blatant aggression. Iran's safeguard nuclear facilities have been attacked, not in secret, but openly by Israel, a rogue regime, and by the United States, a depository of NPT. Facilities under IAEA monitoring were bombed in violation of every principle of international law and the very foundation of the non-proliferation regime. And yet, instead of condemnation, we witness silence, worse, justification from the very state now lecturing Iran about obligations. What clearer evidence of double standard and hypocritical behavior could there be? Despite this, Iran did not abandon diplomacy. On 9 September in Cairo, we reached an understanding with IAEA to resume cooperation, a significant and forward-looking step. But rather than seizing this opportunity, the US and E3 dismissed it, exposing the gulf between their rhetoric and their true intentions. They speak of dialogue with strangling it. They proclaim support for diplomacy while burying it under threats. This reckless step undermines dialogue, rewards aggressions, and sets a dangerous precedent. Mr. President, E3 and the US, in coordination with Israel, are spreading false claims that Iran's nuclear program threatens peace and security. This is a fabrication. Iran has not breached the JCPOA, the NPT, or its safeguard obligations. Our nuclear program remains entirely peaceful. Even the impartiality of this Council has been compromised. The Presidency, under pressure from certain permanent members, ignored the requirement to take into account the views of all participants, including Iran, Russia, and China, before presenting today's draft resolution. This requirement is explicitly stated in paragraph 11 Resolution 2231 and even in the President's draft. Yet, in practice, the President of the Council disregarded this language, violated the neutrality of the Council, and effectively endorsed the E3 notification by both introducing the draft and calling for a vote, without ensuring that the positions of China, Iran, and Russia are true participants of JCPOA were fully reflected. This is not consensus building. It was coercion. The result is decision imposed on Council, not owned by it. In conclusion, Mr. President, I wish to state Iran's firm position. 1. Today's action is hastily, unnecessary, and unlawful. Iran recognizes no obligation to implement it. 2. The responsibility for its grave consequences lies squarely with the United States and the E3, who fabricated allegations against Iran while enabling Israeli criminal attacks on safeguard facilities. 3. This act, with no consensus, weakened the Council, undermines diplomacy, and jeopardizes the non-proliferation regime. 4. Iran's nuclear program will not be destroyed by bombs, halted by sanctions, or diverted from its peaceful path. The door for diplomacy is not closed, but it will be Iran, not the adversaries, who decides with whom and on what basis to engage. Mr. President, today's Council has squandered an opportunity for dialogue and consensus. Russia and China, acting in good faith, tabled a balanced initiative to extend Resolution 2231 and preserve diplomacy. Instead of embracing this path of reason, the United States and the E3 choose an escalation, pressure, and division. This contradiction between their rhetoric and actions prove once more their real intention is not diplomacy, but escalation. They must now bear full responsibility for the crisis they have manufactured. Let there be no doubt, Iran will remain steadfast in defending its sovereignty, its rights, and the peaceful character of its nuclear program. We will not yield to coercion. We will not be intimidated by unlawful threats, and we will not allow this Council to be misused as an instrument of injustice. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran for the statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.